Welcome, guys, to the nominee interviews for Epoch 7. Today, I've got Deraji with me, current council member and nominee for this Epoch. How's it going, my man?
It's gone awesome. Thanks so much, TSG, for doing this.
Not Matt, always. I think it more a blessing that I get to speak to you guys and kind of pick your brains on these big things. So I feel like I'm winning here as well. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it. The first question that I want to throw your way is something that is still being discussed. I've done this three epochs now, and it's still being discussed. Is the council pay? It clearly hasn't been put to rest, and I want to know what's your take with the current structure of the pay, and what are your thoughts and feelings on the current IIP that's passed, looking to pass, depending on when we put this out, changing it from stablecoins into ILV as a payout. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'll take the second one first, because that one to me is a much easier question. So
Yeah.
I've already voted in favor of switching to ILV versus stablecoin. And really, that's at the direction of Danny. Of if we look at how Illuvium's finances are structured, like we want to be in stablecoin. We see what's going on in the market right now. That's really critical to continue operations. And so by the council not pulling on that stable coin, like it's not something that the DAO needs to convert treasury into stable, which causes issues, that the council being willing to accept ILV really is for the good of the organization. Now, the complete other discussion is what should we be paid and how does compensation even enter into that? And for me, compensation is really two things. It's validation of the commitment of the DAO to a structure of governance versus it kind of just being figureheads of who are these people, and it's commitment of the individuals. And so by having it compensated, if you wouldn't pay it, you could get people like, oh, I'll do it. But then when they get meeting invites every 2 weeks for, we need you to be up at 3 a.m. and have this conversation, and we need you to participate in these other chats and meetings, and a lot of things that it's coming to light in the conversations in Discord that we need to be more transparent of what the council does and what the commitment is. But I think
Yeah.
if folks saw that and said, this should be an honorary position that's compensated zero, like you're not going to get the talent and the people that do it, because frankly, like I value my time and hopefully others do as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, absolutely. This is actually interesting because I've been asking everyone else this, like, what do they think that, based on their perception of what the count does, whether this compensation of $5,000 is adequate? And it's interesting because no one or everyone that I've asked hasn't been on the council yet. So I'll throw it to you as well in regards to, based on your perception, and obviously you're in the council, so you've got a bit more of an understanding. How do you feel that $5,000 sits? Do you think that's too high? Do you think that's too low? Or do you think that that's a pretty fair number for the responsibilities and the time committed from council members?
So for me, in my day job, I manage people and I manage a technical team, and I view a job being two sides. One is here's the compensation for it, and two is here's the expectations you have for that job. And I think Illuvium so far has done a good job or been clear of here's the compensation, but the piece that has been lacking is here's the expectations.
Mm.
And so as I came into this role 5-ish months ago, it's like I want to define expectations for this job, and I want to make it clear that I should be giving $5,000 a month worth of effort and contributions to this.
Mm.
There's a mismatch there of which is it's a chicken or the egg. Does the
Yeah.
compensation come first or the expectations? Clearly compensation came first. And
Mm.
like I said, I think we're missing that clarity of what the council actually does and communicating that effectively to the community.
Yeah.
That's been my mission and what I've really tried to do this past epoch of like, I want to make sure the DAO's getting their money's worth from me.
Yeah.
That's who I am ethically, and I'm not sure everybody else has that same view.
Yeah.
But and I've been part of it with you and Rich and others of writing governance V2, and a lot of that really was let's drive clarity to the role,
Yes.
expectations, and with that, now that we're writing the expectation side, let's revisit that compensation side and say, is that commensurate with what we're asking them to do? And as
Yeah.
folks will see, hopefully we get this out shortly and we get the clearance from legal and Kieran and everybody that we can
Yeah.
share what we've done publicly. But you're going to see it is going to come down a bit based on how we've defined it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's still, I want to give that $5,000 worth a month job and commitment because that's what I signed up for and that's what the DAO entrusted me with.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I need to be objective. I agree with you with your point of view there. It is one of those things where factually we are going to have people that game the system, right? Like you say, they're going to kind of come in, like there's no running away from that if there aren't clear expectations being set. So the final thing that I'm going to touch on in regards to the compensation is this has been a question that's been pretty much forced on me by the community. It's not just one person, but multiple people that have asked me this. If you were elected, would you be willing to forfeit your council pay for the good of the Illuvium runway?
I'm willing to do a lot of things for Illuvium, but to me, no. I will be honest, if that costs me votes, so be it. Like
Yeah.
I said, I value my time, I value my commitment to Illuvium, but it's a two-sided deal. And so if this is what I'm signed up for, this is the expectation. And so
Yeah.
am I willing to do other things? Am I willing to look for new streams of revenue? Would you ask the team to forego pay for months?
Please
Would you
do.
ask Kieran? Yeah. So I think there's broader implications to that. And then the other question to the community really is preserving ILV in a bad situation really extending the runway much? And so that's where preserving stablecoin absolutely is. But if you'd have asked like FTX, like we need more FTT tokens to save us right now, like in a bad situation, that doesn't actually save the
Yeah.
organization. We need to be proactive and think about how do we secure that runway? How do we make sure that we have sufficient resources? And so it's not a pass around the hat and everybody donate back a token
Yeah.
that, if that were to come to fruition, is not necessarily going to be the thing that saves us.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And again, I appreciate your honesty. I don't think there is a right or wrong answer here. I think an honest answer is the best way to approach that. So
I think there's
let's
a lot of
move on
people
here.
that'll think there's a right or wrong answer. So we'll see.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those where you're gonna have you're not gonna win everyone, right? That's never a real possibility. So the next question I want to throw to you is: in the last 6 months, how have you contributed to Illuvium, and why do you think that this has actually been helpful for the DAO?
Yeah, so I've definitely maybe not been as active at times in Discord, but where I am active, I try to be really engaged, and that's particularly in governance chats, in the sharing of new ideas, really promoting productive conversations and trying to help people see broadly where their ideas are going, help them build together. And that's come across into various IIPs that I've either contributed to or helped to reword or rewrite as we've gone through the process. Definitely built connections with a number of different team members, core contributors, other council members, active community members, um, content creators. And so it's been a relationship and being kind of a connection and a guy to work in the background of share some ideas and build together with other smart folks. And where I think my value has come in is trying to distill that down and be clear in communication back out, that is one of the strengths that I offer, that's something unique. And so that communication is typed, it's doing things like this, and it's also in the creation of some stuff that hopefully gets to come out soon, because like I assure you, there's been a lot of stuff that's gone on in the background of us redoing the IIP process, creating governance v2. I've created a number of documents that are going to support people understanding governance v2. And so like there's stuff that's gone on. That's how I've really contributed to the DAO this past 6 months.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where a lot of people like you do obviously have the content creators that are making content, and that's very visually beneficial to the DAO from the outside. But there are a lot of people that are, like you say, doing things behind closed doors, and it takes a lot of time for something to actually reach the public eye. So it is sometimes nice to have you guys come out and say, "Yo, we are working on this. This is something that is going on." So I want to ask you this: And you kind of hit this point already, but what's the unique value proposition that you're able to offer that you think separates you from the other nominees?
The two big things that come to mind for me are, like I said, communication and big picture thinking.
Mm,
And so as we look at creating what I personally want to see from a five-person council, it's not having five people with the same skill set that agree with each other.
yes.
And so I bring a different background, different history, geography, work experience, and to be able to make sure that you're getting a well-rounded conversation with people that are thinking deeply and broadly on the topics.
Mm,
And so I don't see a whole lot of other people that have that skill set that I specifically do.
yeah.
There's going to be crypto experts, gaming experts, economics experts, but I think I've hopefully shown to a number of community members the way that I think, the way I approach problems, and the communication of that, and that's what I think makes me valuable to the DAO.
Yep, yep. And I want to dive in a little bit deeper on something that you mentioned before, actually, about engaging with the community. This is a conversation that I'm seeing being had all over the community. Do you actually believe that being engaged, like, what does engagement look like to you? Is I'll kind of leave it open ended like that, because there's people that say we need you to be typing and chat and conversing with us. We have the other side that say, we just need you to be aware of what's going on, and just taking the sentiment. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I don't know if you were on the general chat yesterday when this was going on, but we
I,
talked this a lot,
I
and it was
think I was, yeah.
Venomore, me, and
Yes, I
Franny
was. I
was pushing
was.
us. And
Yeah.
so she even shared like number of posts by council member for the past month. And I was in fourth place on that list out of five
Wow.
council members. And so my immediate pushback was, I want to see it as word count, because
Mm,
something for me of just who I am and my style is I like to take in information. Like I'm
yeah.
not like constantly share where I'm at. And it goes in working with me in real life and how I talk. It's like I listen and I want to take that in. And so what I said was my reading score is off the charts on how much I take in from Discord. But if I can't add something that's productive, I don't say something just to say something.
Yeah.
But when I do, I'm probably the most abusive of putting out multi-paragraph responses and dealing with Discord character limits.
Yeah.
And that's who I want to be. And so it's up to individuals from the community to say, what do you want to see? Do you want somebody that's sharing everything and typing, sharing a lot of gifs, sharing just single thoughts, or do you want somebody that's actually putting out things that are valuable? And so I'm a quality over quantity guy,
Mm,
but hopefully folks see that I am engaging, reading, and if anybody ever like links me or sends me a DM, like
yeah.
you're getting a response.
Yep, yep, yep. I think that yeah, I think the way that you kind of just broke it down in regards to, if we're just looking at the number of posts again, yeah, you could put a full stop that could be counted as a post. You could put a GIF that could be counted as a post. So yeah, that is a very good way to show a floor metric is what I would say. All right, so moving on now, governance V2. So this is a little bit unfair because you were one of the guys that kind of helped write it, so you know a bit more about it. But let's try and keep it like balanced in the way that we respond to this. But we're closer than ever to governance V2. What do you see as the major flaws of governance V1? And if it were up to you, solely up to you, how would you amend that in governance V2?
Yeah. No, I got a couple things that really were the hit list of what do we go after in V2. The biggest one is you need a team member. And so we've been lucky enough that Kieran has won the past couple elections to get on. But frankly, if he is not there, we are not productive. Like you need
Mm,
that conduit in. And the other challenge with that is Kieran is an extremely busy individual, and there's things that only he can do, and it's not necessarily the council job. And so he has the notoriety and the name to win, but by giving the team an appointed position, that ensures that the person has the time commitment and the information to be successful in that role to keep the council successful. So that's
mm,
one, that it can't just be five random guys winning a popularity contest based on they post a lot and they're known by the community. Like you need the right skill set, and it
Yeah.
starts with having a team member on there.
Yeah.
The voting process is number two, that we really needed to address that, which is something that we are starting to hit with this epoch of going to blind voting. Because
Yes.
I've studied the elections like crazy, and you can see the vote hopping, the impact of people waiting to the last minute, and the psychology behind seeing the vote affecting the vote. And so I think
Mm.
this is going to be the first real true election
Yeah.
where we get what is the community sentiment of who do you want to represent you. I think there's still things that we can do to improve that, but we're just technology limited in what we
Mm.
can do. And so that's something we want to keep pushing as well. Other one we touched on is there's no clear expectations for the council. Basically, as it's
Mm.
written today, is show up to meetings and vote. And there's a mechanism for removing people, but even within that, it's like the council has to bring it that this person isn't contributing, and we want to go for a motion of no confidence. I
Yeah.
wanted to put more metrics around what is expectations,
Yeah.
and then where ideas come from within the IIP process. There's certainly individuals who rightfully so have short circuited the process, but I
Mm.
think we're doing a better job now of soliciting those ideas, building them up, and really giving a better voice to the community of how do you decentralize ideas, but shepherd them through the process with fairness and consistency.
Yep. 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 Yeah. Regarding the blind voting, I think it's actually going to be quite interesting to see if Kieran does get in now, because the psychology is if everyone's just thinking, oh, Kieran's definitely going to get in and doesn't vote for him, we're not going to know until the end of the result, at the end of the actual voting. So it's going to be interesting to see how it actually plays out. Um, so if governance V2 is approved, let's say you get re-elected and it is governance V2 is approved during your term, would you be willing to cut your term short to conduct a new election to transition to V2, potentially risking your position on the council?
100%. Like for me, the reason I do this is for the betterment of the DAO. I firmly believe what you're going to see in governance V2, and once the community gets a hold of it, the further improvements that we can make to it is better for the organization. And the council needs to be a steward of what is best for the DAO. And if you see something like this come up, like it was even a challenge for us of, can we push this through now? But there's
Mm.
so many changes and so much, if we get our way of what we're looking at here, like the structure is so different, the elections are going to be different, and we just needed more time. And
Mm.
so it's like, let's get through this epoch, let's get the community insight as quickly as possible. But if it's a 1 month term and we can get it done in that time, so be it. I
Yeah,
need to go for election again and see if I fit in the new structure. I may not.
yeah. I think, yeah, with the new structure, it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to open up the doors for a lot more qualified people to jump into the spot that really suits them. So I am excited to see what the community does react, how their reaction to this proposal is. All right. So the last question that I've got, I'm going to throw in one more question after this, if that's fine. But so the second last question, and we've kind of touched on it a few times already. We've kind of skirted around the idea, but if you had to write a formal IIP to clarify what the council members' duties and time commitments are, what would be included in that IIP? What, from you being inside the council currently, what are your expectations of the council if you had to lay that out for everyone?
I think engagement with community is key. What that looks like can vary, but you got to engage, you got to be connected. It's soliciting ideas, it's developing ideas. And so you shouldn't be the only one contributing ideas, but you should be that shepherd of encouraging other people that don't get elected or may not want that position to bring their ideas forward and help them build it. You need to be a filter for the team. Like we see a lot of team members active, and Kieran, Aaron do a lot in Discord. The question is, should they? Like people love seeing them there, but we really need to be choiceful of the team's time. And I think
Mm.
the council, especially in a new structure that we're envisioning, can be that conduit of you don't have to scroll through everything to make sure that those ideas are heard and brought forward to the team. And
Yeah.
that's critical to me of the team is the one actually developing the product. We need them to develop the product. And being active in Discord to me is more of a nice to have and a council feature, but the council needs to enable that to ensure it flows through the process and is heard. You get into the basics of like attend meetings, engage in discussions, participate in voting. So yes, there is a attendance criteria of it that has to happen.
Yeah.
And the last thing, and one of the things that I've really been pushing for in governance v2 is a code of ethics. And so what does it mean to be a council member? And I've tried to simplify it as much as possible. It's like Illuvium above all is the first thing. And so making sure conflicts of interest or your personal gain or loss from an
Personal
individual occurrence,
bags.
like no, Illuvium above all, obey the law. Feels obvious, but I think in crypto that's not necessarily always heard. Respect the community, respect the council, and uphold transparency. Those are my 5. And so that to me is what it takes to be a good council member.
Yeah, and what about the time commitment? Again, you've actually been on the council, so you come in with a bit more experience for this question. But how much time commitment do you believe that a council member needs to actually commit to something like this to do an adequate job?
I mean, it's going to vary, and this has been an interesting epoch from like times have been tough, and sometimes it's hard to engage and look at crypto. And so if we look at how it's written today, it's a minimum of biweekly meetings that are occurring all times of the day to accommodate time zones. Commitment to Discord is going to vary as well. And like I said, a lot of my time has been kind of side private chats with other individuals and a lot of writing. And so to do it effectively, it is, I would say, easily 10 plus hours a week in my mind
Yeah,
to do a
yeah,
good job with it.
yeah.
Is that how it's written today? No. Is that transparent to others? No. And so those are things that we need to improve, but that's my sense of what it actually takes to do this well.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. All right. And so this last question that I'm kind of just throwing in now, just based on what's happened in the community, but the discussion about potentially turning the revenues from the first Illuvitar sale and actually instead of distributing that to stakers, giving that back to the treasury as a thank you, as a way to help regarding the runway. I believe that Kieran has come out saying that is an idea he's had privately, but he didn't want to be the person to lead it forward. And it was actually one of the community members or a group of community members that pushed this forward out of their own will. What are your thoughts there? I've seen you in the conversation there. What do you think about this, and where do you stand on this?
Now, I think the world has changed, especially the past week. I mean, it's been an interesting 6 months, and in the past week, things have changed dramatically. And so, as a council member, you need to think what is best for the long term of the DAO. And even as we talked, the bridging round raise, it's like, hey, things are rough right now, but there's no guarantee in 2023 that things are going to get better and capital is going to free up. When we started that conversation, we were like, okay, this is where the world is. The world is somewhere different today
Mm.
after FTX. And so the
Yeah.
ability to raise capital through other means and get a commitment, even if you are a quality project and you are somebody that is really disclosing as much as you can, it's going to get harder and harder. And the thing with raising money is it's always easier to get money when you don't need it. If you wait until you need it, it's so much harder and you're going to get so much worse terms. And so I think we need to be creative and say, what are the different means that we have to preserving capital and making sure that the team has the resources that they need? And so in my mind, it's for the better of the DAO to make sure that the DAO is taken care of first. And even if that's a change to the terms to investors, that we need to think long term here. That's who we're the stewards of. Because the alternative is something like you've got with FTX and now BlockFi suspending withdrawals, Celsius of like, okay, we can keep our terms the exact same way and we'll ride it until it's zero. Like
Mm.
that for me is not the situation that we want to be in. And so we need to
Yeah.
do the best, be transparent, but ensure the team has the resources they need to deliver.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. Appreciate your answer. All right, Deraji, that is it. This has gone a bit longer than I thought it was going to go, but appreciate your answers. Is there anything else you kind of want to say before we close this out? Any last words before we end this?
Now, just for folks that are watching this, like you are the ones that are committed to the project. Like if you're watching governance interviews in this current market, you are the people that are driving this. And so get out, vote for who you want to be your representative, and just say, look forward to a lot of the things that I'm really proud of that you're going to see in Governance V2 that I think really move us forward. And thanks as always to TSG for being amazing and doing this. This is top notch. This is what governance should be. Make sure that you know the people that you're electing in.
Yeah. Now, again, like I said, I honestly look forward to these chats. Just again, like I get to pick your brains and get to see like firsthand what you guys are about. So it's a blessing for me as well. But all right, yo, Deraji, appreciate it, everyone. If you want to hit Deraji up, just feel free to ping him in the Discord. He's always down there to answer and have a bit of a conversation. So absolutely. But for everyone else, appreciate you guys for watching. Make sure you follow this channel. This is on the Illuvium Plus channel, and we're going to be coming up with a lot more governance videos as well. So just stay up to date, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys later. Peace.